Hey yo guys, how's it going? Tally here, and it's Banlist season, so let's talk about the ban list. Now I'm not going to do what I've done before and make a totally accurate Konami leaked ban list, however if you want me to, I will do. But I'm going to talk about cards that I think deserve to come off the ban list. I think they've done their time, and I think Yu-Gi-Oh's just in a different place now. So before we dive in, as always, make sure to like it, make sure to subscribe if you're new here, make sure to comment your thoughts down below, also check out the comment of the day, and of course, feel free to support me on Patreon if you want to help the channel grow. Now let's dive in. Now, to set the kind of standard for what I'm going to be talking about when I say unban these cards, I mean cards that are banned and I would like to currently see limited. Alright, I don't think these cards are particularly broken at 1, however, they are definitely broken in some cases if you have them at 2 or 3. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to look at one-offs right now, and hopefully these cards can make a return to Yu-Gi-Oh! And spice up the format a little bit. We're in a pretty decent format, but I want a spicy format. So the first card on my list today, you're all going to love it, you all love to hate it, I'm going to ask for Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, just to 1. So the thing about Sky Strikers is that they had an insane recursion strategy and they were able to access like 2 to 3 engages per turn. That's not okay, right? Because that was a consistent thing that they could do and they would end up going +3, +4 in a turn based off of engage alone. Now that doesn't really present a case as to why I think it should come off the list, so let me tell you. Really, Sky Striker at the moment is a kind of lower rogue tier deck. It's not amazing, it can steal some tops with an absolutely phenomenal pilot. However, I think Sky Strikers has done its time, I think it's got some unique strategy that it didn't have before, and I would like to see the power increase just a little bit. 1 engage, it's accessible for sure. You know, you have to go like Hayate, dump into Kagari, and then you get the engine rolling a little bit. But you need to be very careful of how you recycle your engage, because if you abuse it too much and if you try and get too greedy with it, then you will in fact get punished and you may end up like banishing your engage off of something like multi-roll. So I think that engage could come back to 1, only ever to 1, and that would make it usable in a Sky Striker deck, but not abusable outside of a Sky Striker deck. And next on my list, because I'm a fan of the Eternal format, otherwise known as TOS, I think Mirage Stallion could come back to 1. Yeah, Salamangreat was a powerful deck for a long time, but really within the last year, it's just been kicked out of the format almost entirely. You know, there's just much better options, and it's a bit of a sin to see a deck hit irrelevancy so quickly. Like, as of Secret Slayers, it's like this deck just completely fell out of relevancy, and I think Mirage Stallion could be that thing that doesn't make the deck tier 1, but I think it increases the deck's power level to make it capable of stealing some tops in some events, maybe like taking on a regional style event, and definitely just more playable than it is just now. I think Salad have done their time, I think it's a deck that has been hit a couple of places in a couple of ways, and really I think that just Mirage Stallion back to 1, just the 1, since it's recurable anyway, it just makes a lot of sense for the deck. So I think that Mirage Stallion to 1 would increase the power, it increases the consistency for sure, gives it a little bit more of a grind game to play because there's more of a resource based interaction, but Mirage Stallion to 1. And while I'm mentioning TOS format, let's talk about Orchest. Heart Potter to 1. The deal is, the Orchest is awful. Orchest is Brick City. You could build an absolute wall out of the bricks that Orchest are currently playing to have any semblance of a strategy. And realistically, what they need is Heart Potter back, only to 1. Because realistically, again, it's recurable, you don't want to have to get the chance to like open it and then like abuse it with cards like Orchestrated Return. You want it at 1, only ever 1, and it will give Orchest the defibrillator that it needs to get it back to life. Truthfully, I'm not like against Orchest these days, used to hate it because Orchest Sky Striker was borderline tier 0, but with the changes I'm making to the ban list here, it's not going to get a chance to be tier 0. Orchest is easily stopped again by like a lot of really accessible hand traps. They die to Nibiru, they absolutely die to Lancia. These are all cards that are seeing consistent play. I think in terms of a resource game, I think they lose out to a lot of decks these days that just do more. And in terms of a combo game, again, I just think there's better cards that do better things, and they really just mess up Orchest. So I think Heart Potter 1 is a decent power boost without breaking the deck. Next, we have a pick that Sir Eminon's gonna like. I want Lunalight Tiger back to 1. Errata it to hard ones per turn if you have to, but truthfully Lunalight are doing nothing. They couldn't even do anything that Bird Up doesn't currently do. And if you don't know much about Bird Up, check out the link on screen, I did a video on it. Realistically, it's not going to do much that Bird Up don't currently do, and probably do better. Bird Up can put up negates, floodgates, and interaction. And really, like, Lunalight, yeah, have access to more Xyzs and rank 4s, but again, I just don't see how they can abuse any really busted cards that other decks just couldn't do better. I think Tiger to 1 is fine. I think if you Cosmic Cyclone it away, there goes their whole win condition. And by the way, spoilers, Cyclone's like kind of see in play right now. So, Tiger to 1. Now here's a controversial one. Master Plan to 1. Here's the thing about Master Plan, it is nuts. However, Spiral, at its like highest point, generally used multiple Master Plan, so it's a card that at 1 is an insane consistency booster for a deck. However, we are in a period where extra links aren't really amazing, their end board before wasn't particularly like game breaking, it was just consistent. Master Plan to 1 would be a very powerful boost to the deck, but let's be real, Spiral are doing absolutely nothing. Spiral are doing hee-haw these days, like absolutely nothing, or I see no reason to not bring Master Plan to 1 and actually give the deck something to do. I played Spiral recently, just wasn't that great. Now, because I am a bit of a Pendulum fan and would very much like to return to 2018 Pendulum, I'm going to unban 3 key cards that I think are really good for Pendulum, only at 1 currently, but I'm going to talk about all 3 of them individually. The first card I'm going to talk about is Astrograph Sorcerer. This card is a little bit nutty. It is absolutely rife for abuse with Electromite, but I'm going to be real. I think Pendulum just isn't in a good place right now. I think that Pendulum is requiring a lot of different bricks to be able to do anything at all. I think that Pendulum is just really a shell of its former self, and I know there's some Pendulum haters out there. That's fine, keep on hating. Pen best deck. Pen best deck, let's go! But really, Astrograph Sorcerer at 1 is a card that is very powerful, increases the Pendulum grind game almost astronomically, but because at the moment there's so many things that just counter Pendulum entirely. You know, we've got cards like Droplets, we've got cards like Dark Ruler, we've got cards that can interrupt the combo really easily. Lots of decks are like, you know, full of trap cards to interrupt combos going first. Lots of decks are full of hand traps, and I think that Pendulum's just in a state where it can't really play through loads and loads and loads of hand traps. Also, Droll's kind of currently popular. Pendulum absolutely dies to Droll, so I think Astrograph could come off really just for the fact that Pendulum needs something to revive it. I think something like Servant to Free is actually really powerful and does make the deck a lot more immune to hand traps, so I'm not going to touch that just yet, but I think Astrograph at 1 isn't really a starter anymore, because truthfully you don't want to play like 1 good card and 1 brick, in my opinion. So it's not really a starter, it's definitely something that you have to get into. However, again, like Pendulum is really hurt by a lot of different like types of interaction, and I think it would be easy to stop that. Next I want Skullcrobat Joker. Stratos is at 3, and Stratos is quite frankly a much better card. Now you might say Heroes are a much worse deck, and to be quite frank, in some cases you'd be right. Heroes don't really have a way to do loads of negates, but by God, if they haven't got some busted cards. People look at Skullcrobat Joker and they think, by God, that card needs to stay banned forever, it searches a Pendulum. Realistically, it searches an Odd Eyes, a Magician, or a Performapal. That is decent, you know, those archetypes have decent cards, but let me explain why it's not quite as broken as you think it is. It only works on normal summon, so it's not something that you can recur every single turn and go +1 every single turn with a Pendulum summon. It is a hard once per turn, and again, much like many things in Pendulum, it's weak to a lot of different hand traps. And really, you know, Pendulum, as I've said, is just in a bad place. I think it needs a couple of little things to boost it up and just make it not a hot pile of awful garbage. Pend is currently awful. Sorry, Triff. And then finally, my absolute queen. We're unbanning Electromite because first of all, Do-Re-Mi Chord are coming out and that's a cool deck. So of course, we want to promote brand new Metal Force support, we want to promote brand new Metal Force reprints, we want to promote Do-Re-Mi Chord. Let's unban Electromite. And from a gameplay perspective, as I've mentioned, Pend is awful right now, so it's okay to bring back Electromite. And really, Electromite is what ties the whole summoning mechanic together. which is weird because it's a link monster, but Pendulum need link monsters to be able to thrive, unlike other summoning mechanics. Also, Electromite is a powerful consistency booster, I understand that, and yes, it can proc off other effects, you know, such as like your magicians, your metal foes. Again, I understand that, but Pendulum as a summoning mechanic, as a deck, as a style, needs something to tie it together. Really, it's hurt the most by the current rules because link monsters are all spammy. Pendulums don't really have any amazing link monsters that actually do much for them outside of Selene. So overall, I think it is actually okay to have Electromite at 1. You have to go to kind of lots of different lengths to loop it. It's really only good when it's not interrupted, which sounds redundant, but again, there's just so many forms of interruption in this current format and future formats where we're very much in a control-based format. Yeah, I think Electromite can come back. I don't really see a problem with it. I don't really see it being a massive issue. I just think that Pendulum needs some love. And we all could probably agree that Konami hate Pendulum. So let's give them a little bit of a bone. Screw it, if Astrograph and Electromite are absolutely busted again, like, yeah, ban Astrograph. But keep Electromite around so that Pendulum is a playable playstyle. Guys, as always, if you like the video, give it a like. If you love it, give it a share and tell everyone you know about Team Tally today. And if you've made it this far but you haven't joined Team Tally, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, you've been amazing. I've been Tally. I'll catch you all later. Bye.